Nolan Wells bombshell tonight. The dead teen's messages deleted after his body washes ashore. Good evening. I'm Nancy Grace. This is Crime Stories. I want to thank you for being with us.
"18-year-old football star Nolan Wells heads to Horn Island with his friends to celebrate the 4th of July. But hours later, after he doesn't return to shore, his friends report him missing, launching a desperate search across the water.
They met that day, and it was kind of one of those things. It did come off that day that he really did like her, but that was the only time they'd ever hung out, was at Horn Island on July 4th.
We're sinking. Can you all please come?
And is everybody on board in good health otherwise?
Yeah, everybody's on board.
From our friends at GMA, no, everyone was not on board. Nolan was not on board. And who's the mysterious girl he met for the very first time the day he goes missing? His body spotted by the United Cajun Navy, washed ashore. We have obtained that photo. We are choosing tonight not to show it. That last sound from our friends at NBC joining me in all-star panel, but first straight out to Todd Terrell, representing the United Cajun Navy, participating in the water search for Nolan Wells. Todd, thank you for being with us. What did you observe?
You know, Horn Island, that area right there is an area that we have seaplanes that we operate back and forth to the island, taking people back and forth fishing, or oil field workers, you know, back off to rigs and stuff. That morning, the body was observed on the northwest portion of Horn Island, which is not unusual for someone to drown and be washed up in that area. There was a park ranger that was on the island that actually had spotted the body, and we were calling in down to law enforcement officials on the ground what we saw from the air.
Todd Terrell joining us from the United Cajun Navy, called in to participate in the water search for this young star athlete, Nolan Wells, tonight. Mystery swirling around his death. How is it that a group of his friends go out on a boat? They go to a remote Horn Island. There is nobody there. It's uninhabited. There are no phones. There are no bathrooms. It's just a hangout place. How does he end up dead on the shore and everybody else makes it back? I want you to hear one more time what the group is saying about that day.
They met that day, and it was kind of one of those things. It did come off that day that he really did like her, but that was the only time they'd ever hung out, was at Horn Island on July 4th.
From our friends at GMA, who is she? Where is she? What, if anything, did she have to do, if there is a she, with Nolan's death? That's from our friends at GMA. Back to you, Todd Terrell. And I'm about to go to Caitlin Becker, a senior national correspondent, New York Post, on the story from the get-go. Todd, you stated to me that it's, quote, not unusual for bodies to wash ashore in that spot. What do you mean by that? Because if it was that common, wouldn't this be designated a dangerous area and there would be warning signs? What do you mean it's not unusual? I find that hard to believe.
Well, many areas along the coast of the whole Gulf Coast area is a dangerous area. You know, I don't believe they could put up signs anywhere. I think it should be known that these are bad areas. The rip current is very bad in that northwestern portion. We call it the washing machine, actually. It's an area where the current just rolls round and round in there, kind of like a washing machine. And one of the interesting things was where Nolan was found was probably pretty close to where the incident occurred. So the body didn't go that far.
Okay, what incident? Was there an incident? Are you suggesting Todd Terrell, joining us tonight from the United Cajun Navy, our friends, by the way, at the United Cajun Navy? They are called in on many missing persons case. Todd, you stated the incident. What incident? You mean he didn't drown?
We're saying that whatever happened, we're calling an incident. Our job as United Cajun Navy is to bring people home, back to their families, first of all alive, second of all recover the body if possible. We knew in this case, the time frame that was involved, that we were looking for
A Jackson County deputy told the press no foul play was suspected. That was July 6th. By July 21st, Nancy Grace had convened a 1-hour special. A grand jury was reportedly empaneled, and the Department of Justice was fielding calls. That is a shift in momentum that does not happen by accident. It happens when someone with a national platform decides a case is not going to disappear. Before we go deeper into what the documents actually show, make sure you're subscribed to Project Cold Case. Because we don't just cover the story, we follow the evidence. The initial official narrative was straightforward: a tragic 4th of July drowning. Nolan Wells, 18 years old, rowed out to Horn Island on a boat called the Triton. The boat had bilge pump trouble. His friends say they left without him because he wanted to stay behind and talk to a girl named Katie. He was found dead 2 days later. The sheriff said no crime was committed. Case closed.
It's in an altercation and is getting thrown off the boat. And then you got half the people going, oh, no, that's not him. But to me, the clear problem is that critical moment where Katie, if she exists, says he went back with his friends. And the friends say, oh, no, we left. He wanted to stay with her. Right there. That is the first conflict. Both cannot be true. Those cannot mutually exist in truth. They're mutually exclusive. He can't go with them and stay with her on Horn Island. Right there, John Mobley joining me, high-profile lawyer out of Charleston, South Carolina. John, that's where it starts. That lie. I don't know who's lying, but somebody's lying. Right there, Mobley.
Well, I don't know that I would necessarily agree with you on that. I think they can be both partially true depending on perspective. I think one thing we have to kind of keep in mind with this is we have a lot of different people telling things from different perspectives, from their own individuals' perspectives. It's certainly conceivable that he let his friend leave to stay with the female, if he was with the female, assuming that happened. And once he finished his communication or whatever he was doing with the female, told her he was leaving to go back with his friends. And from her standpoint, he said he was going back with his friends, which did not necessarily mean they were the same friends that dropped him off. So I would disagree with you on that.
Hold on. Mobley. Let me see Mobley. Mobley, you're right. Because, as I've told many juries, as a trial judge once always said in his jury instructions, it is your duty to make all witnesses speak the truth and impugn perjury to no one. So actually what you're saying could be true if there's another group of friends, if they exist.
Except it was never closed. And the reason it is not closed is because the evidence does not align with a simple drowning. The independent autopsy commissioned by the family could not determine cause or manner of death, a finding that effectively contradicted the local coroner's preliminary assessment. The state autopsy has been completed, but will be withheld until a grand jury reviews it. A grand jury that is now convening. That sequence is itself an admission that the initial dismissal was premature at best. That is a direct contradiction. One party says he chose to stay. The other says he intended to leave. Both cannot be true. Here is where the forensic fury comes in. The timeline is the battlefield. That's not an investigation. That's an assumption dressed up as a conclusion. We keep coming back to the same question. Every investigation starts somewhere. But where did this one actually begin? Because it appears to have begun with a declaration of innocence rather than a pursuit of facts.
I think, I can't exactly remember what his location was showing, but my Life 360 location was showing something completely different. It was actually showing that his phone was like he was on land. And so we ended up, she received the phone from that parent.
So the Snapchat location looks completely different than the Life 360 location. So when I pulled up Life 360, it was different. It was showing everywhere the phone had been, like it had, I was like, well, it's showing that he's back on land, like I'm not. He's like, but no, he didn't come back with us.
N-O. I've tracked my son 100 times when he's fishing, and it shows he's in the water. When he's off the water, it shows he's on land. The mom is right. You were just hearing Christine Wansley, that is Nolan's mother, from our friends at
GPS data reportedly shows the Triton departed at 4:03 p.m. Witnesses on social media said Nolan was still on the island at 40:50 p.m. A separate witness reported he was nowhere to be seen by 7:30 p.m. There is a gap of nearly 3 hours where the official narrative relies entirely on the word of a group of friends whose accounts have already proven inconsistent on key details. Now, let's talk about Katie. The friends told Nolan's mother that he stayed with a girl named Katie. At first, they claimed they didn't know her, had never seen her before. Then it emerged they had been texting with her. Her sister gave a different account, telling the Daily Mail that Katie believed Nolan was getting ready to board the boat with his friends, and that the friends wouldn't have left without him.
Smalls.com/Nancy. Thanks, Smalls, and thank you from our cat, Cinnamon. In the last hours, this young man, with his life before him, has been laid to rest. His parents attending his funeral instead of getting ready for his next big school event, getting ready for fall school. We wait as justice unfolds. If you know or think you know anything regarding Nolan's death, please dial 228-769-3063. We remember American hero, Deputy Sheriff Adam Heitman, Creek County Sheriff's, Oklahoma, passed away in the line of duty after 6 years, leaving behind a grieving wife, Samantha, and 2 little girls, Olivia and Chloe. American hero, Deputy Sheriff Adam Heitman. Thank you to our guests, but especially to you for being with us. Nancy Grace signing off for tonight, but I'll see you tomorrow night, and until then, good night, friend. Hi, guys. Please join us on our mission to find missing people, especially children, to solve unsolved homicides. And if you're on the go, please join us on your favorite podcast app where you can get all our content, where we, in our way, seek justice.